primarily a mastering engineer, I never really pushed the mixing side of my business. I started working on around a dozen mixing projects a year back in 2014, to now, in 2021, my demand being built up to over 60 mixing projects a year on top of a busy mastering schedule. What this means is I've had to smarten up and adapt quickly into one growing side of my business I never thought would be taking off. And that means I've had to figure out systems, techniques, strategies, tips for myself to deliver good quality mixes time and time again. That's what's brought me to this video. I've pulled together 6 things I wish I had known on day one, which would have just made my life easier when mixing records for people. Now, throughout this video, I've pulled up a session that I did back in June this year for Jas, a Melbourne artist, produced by Yak, a Melbourne producer, released on a Melbourne record label, High Low Creative. It's a great song. You should go check it out. Give credit where credit's due. It's actually fucking amazing. You should listen to it. Simple. On July 19th, Yak sent me the stems. He got me the updated stems to start working from for mixing. He had all the groups in separate folders. It was neatly organized. He put effort into it. But here's one thing I do no matter how I get the stems is I rename them all so the first word in the name of the file is actually the instrument group. And the reason is because most libraries, file directories inside DAWs list everything in alphanumeric order from 0 to Z, which means if the first word is the same in all those instrument groups, they'll all group together in that list. Let's say the drums all start with D, alphanumerical order. That means everything starting with drums is going to be grouped together on that list, which just makes it easier down the track when I have to replace files or navigate new stems or need to find something or double check I've actually got the right things in a session if something goes missing. Simple. That's a first tip. The second thing is I don't use a lot of plugins, and that's not the tip. Just listen to this. I love using, though, the Plugin Alliance SSL console. Absolutely love the way it adds a bit of dimension and depth to whatever I just put through it. And the reason for that is I pulled in the SSL console by Plugin Alliance onto Plugin Doctor so you can see how the total harmonic distortion introduced to a signal is non-linear. Second and third order harmonics are brought in at a greater ratio depending on how hot the signal is. Now, what that means is that the overall clip volume of those stems need to be hitting my plugins at a certain volume. So I use a plugin called Defaulter, and this is developed, I think, by some guys over in New Zealand. Now, you have to pay for it, but it automates everything. You just click on the file, it analyzes it, finds the true peak, and then just clip gains up and down. Simple. Now, if you don't want to pay for it, I'm pretty sure I saw on Paul Third's channel a plugin he uses for gain staging for similar reasons, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. I'll go find it for you. I'll find it for you because if you don't want to pay money for something and you want to find something free, he uses that. And when I saw the video, I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty good. I wish I hadn't paid for the other one. But nonetheless, does the same job in effect. Once everything is gain staged properly, this is something simple anybody can do. You don't need any fancy plugins or knowledge or effort or time. Strip the silence off it. Pro Tools has a function. You click on it, it gets rid of all the silence. Number 1, saves CPU. Number 2, cleans up your session so you can easily edit and organize clips or bring things up and down and do things with clip gain automation. And also, like, you just don't need unnecessary noise in your mix. It's just quick, easy, cheap to do. You should be doing that. I wish I did it across all my mixes because sometimes I get a bit lazy and I don't, or sometimes I used to get a bit lazy. Now I've sort of kicked my ass into shape. And what ends up happening is on a really big session, my CPU overloads because it's processing just silent data on certain clips, which is just a waste. Now, this next tip I picked up by Craig Bauer over on Instagram. Really nice guy. I met him. Yeah, I'll name drop. I'm allowed to name drop. Craig Bauer on his Instagram showed how he used VCA faders for gain staging his instrument groups into his mix bus. It is smart. It is intelligent. Simple. Use a VCA fader across your buses or across your instrument groups and have a level input monitor on your mix bus. So that way you can monitor the amount of input into your mix bus, get it to -6 decibels true peak, and I'll explain to you how I do that. So that way, whenever you're setting up your mix buses, you can consistently understand where that peak level is. You're never going over 0, you're never too soft, and you can hit the plugins you need to at the right level. Now, How I do that is I pull in the demo mix into iZotope Audio Editor, find the loudest section, create a marker, loop that, and adjust the fader at that point. So that way I know at the loudest part of the song, I'm not going over X amount decibel true peak. That then goes into a Vertigo VSC2 compressor with about 2 decibels of gain reduction and the high pass sidechain filter engaged. And then that goes into Ozone doing about -8, -9 dB of gain. Not gain reduction as in the threshold is brought down that far, which it's not actually doing all that much. It's like maybe tinkering the top at half a decibel, 1 decibel of gain reduction. It's just a good way to get your mix bus set up for consistent results. So that way you know you're hitting your plugins at the right level that sounds good. It's going through your chain. It's hitting the mix bus at the right level where it sounds good. It's just a consistent way to start a mix. It just keeps things easy to navigate, so you're not trying to trace back where something might be fucking up or clipping. Simple. Ultimately, you're going to get to the point where you're going to deliver a mix. At least I have. And there's always this sort of debate. People say, you know, do I deliver a mix with limiting, no limiting? I'm of the nature where I like my clients to be able to hear what it would sound like in the real world. But in the same respect, I also want to make sure I have the assets ready to send off for mastering in case my camera wants to go out of focus. Why the fuck? This is a good time, if it's going out of focus, to plug subscribe to the channel. But just do that while I try and get this back in focus. Where was I? So anyway, yeah, you got that debate. Do you want to send one? Anyway, double printing pretty much sounds what it is. Double print. With my routing setup, I can print both the input of the mix bus on that channel, and then that routes out to a master bus where it prints it with the mix bus processing. I have no fucking clue why this camera is deciding to focus over there. Why would you focus over there? I want to finish this, get back to work, but you, camera, are fucking focusing over there. Camera's here, just pop it on, do my video, fuck off, get back to work. And you want to focus on my Philips Hue lamp. What are you going to focus on now? That's dead. Dead to me, Philips Hue lamp. All right, back to this. Anyway, so basically, I print off both, okay? I have 2 channels, they all route, prints off to both. I'm pissed off now because of that, you know. The next one even goes a step further on that. The 6th tip is I've got an audio folder, okay? With all these channels that have the input routed from instrument groups. And the reason being is I want to be able to print stems off while I'm printing off my mixers. So that way everything's just happening within 3 minutes. I've got everything. 3 minutes, I've got all my stems printed for remixing, all my stems printed for if somebody needs it stem mastered, got my mix printed, got my mix with mix bus processing printed, all done. All finished. And then you are able to deliver something great to your client because they've got all these assets. I had to just rush the end of this. I'm so sorry, but that's the 6th tip. Now, with that, my Hue lamp is still working, okay? And you've made it to the end of the video, and that's great. That is incredible. So, put a thumbs up if this helped you, if you learned something, if you observed something that was different, other than just an audio engineer fucking skitzing it at the focus on his camera. Nonetheless, hit subscribe to the channel. I need to get back to my job now, which is just fucking finishing this day up, getting these masters out, and then loving life. Because I love working on records. I just sometimes dislike technology, because technology, when the camera's focusing now perfectly, now everything's done. Yeah, is what it is, bro. All right, is what it is, guys and girls. So, with that, I'll leave you in peace. Have a great weekend, whatever you're doing, or if this isn't posted before a weekend, have a great week. Until next time, take care.